Hello and welcome to the New World Review, your source for everything anime and manga, and today it is Black Clover o'clock as we tackle what I believe is our first mega arc of the series, being the Reincarnation arc. Except I have to say right here and now that I won't be doing it all in one go. I got to a certain point reading this arc where I just had to stop because I felt like it had already been overloading me with monumentally important stuff that I probably wouldn't be able to go into enough depth with if I did the whole thing in one go. So I got to around chapter 157 I think it was, which is after Asta and Zora escape from the floaty fortress and regroup with the remaining royal knights. It felt like a nice natural breakpoint, and we'll handle the rest of it next week because I think we have more than enough on our plate here. And in order to consume it, may I suggest using this subscribe button as some sort of utensil in order to make sure that you receive regular Black Clover content uploaded straight into your YouTube feed. Also, do like the video to let me know if you want more Black Clover, because I suspect you do, but it's always good to be safe. Now, the opening premise of the Reincarnation arc is actually kind of ridiculous. Basically, we have formed our super hit squad of royal knights, and they are ordered to attack the highly conspicuous base of the Eye of the Midnight Sun. And their plan basically consists of burst in and fight in any way you'd like. So I can't help but feel like things weren't quite as well thought out as they perhaps could have been for such an important mission. Despite that, things go surprisingly well, until they don't. And the most revolutionary and world-changing event to have happened in the series thus far occurs, presenting an extermination threat to the entire human race. One in which we sadly cannot rely on the power of the Wizard King to save us because of, well, very tragic reasons. And I think that's as good a place as any to begin. One of the big reasons why I had to stop is because I realized I was getting further and further away from easily the most shocking event in Black Clover thus far, which was when our Wizard King was overcome and killed by Licked. Or William, alright, or not Licked. A dude pretending to be Licked while sharing the body of William. If I understand that correctly, which I may not. That whole thing, well, that's a whole different issue. Whatever the case, the killing of Julius is what I would describe as a ballsy narrative maneuver, because it's a very simple action that completely reshapes our established world. It removes the stability of knowing that someone will always be there to protect us, and it leaves all of our characters more exposed than ever before. That's what I really liked about it. The idea that for the first time we really are on our own, and in order to stop this horde of super elves, we're just going to have to band together and, figure it out, which has well and truly started happening, particularly with Nozzle and his sort of recognition of Asta. I did really like that. And I think that Julius's death was done quite well in general. We got to see his cool grimoire, and in the end his ultimate downfall was his sense of duty, and there was even this tearful last set of orders issued to Yami. It was really sudden, but I also don't know what more I could have asked for from this moment, really. However, now, the problem. Previously, I described this as a ballsy narrative maneuver, and that's because it heavily impacts the status quo, and it takes a lot of work for an author to re-establish that balance. Work which many come to realize they don't necessarily want to do. And I can't help but feel like that might be what we're in for here. There was this particular line from Julius describing his magic where he said something along the lines of, "The true nature of my magic is to steal time from a target," which leaves him wide open for resurrection by using the futures he stole from someone else or whatever. I don't want it to happen. I hate resurrections almost universally, but it's definitely on the table. But assuming that this is his end, for now, I salute you, Mr. Wizard King. You did your job well, and it's time to let the next generation inherit this rather despairful situation. So it's probably quite ironic that I stated I hate resurrections almost universally during a Reincarnation arc where we brought all sorts of souls back from the dead, but I really did love that aspect of it. And this really is one of those points in time where Tabata's character building pays incredible dividends. Due to cramming as many characters as humanly possible into almost every arc, and being able to fairly sufficiently explore most of them, there was this incredible feeling of, oh shit. All of a sudden, this whole legion of these characters that I love had been flipped, and for a while it left me pretty damn mind blown because I was all like, Luck, Klaus, Gosh, everyone, no, I elect you all. Until it was revealed that these were just elf souls put into human bodies. Because up until then, I was like, holy crap, Luck had been an elf all along and he just didn't know it. As well as everyone else, which made for a whole ton of potential wild drama, like maybe the elves having to come to terms with their human experiences and needing to choose a side. But no, it's just sort of blatant body theft, which is much less interesting because it means that characters like Klaus and Rill and everyone won't actually have to live with their actions as elves, and we won't be exploring them at all, really. We'll be examining the miscellaneous elves, and it's just So here's the worst case scenario for me. I could see ending this arc with everyone getting their bodies back, everyone's back to normal, the status quo is restored, oh, and the Wizard King's alive. If the Reincarnation arc were to end like that, then I would say why bother with it to begin with. Basically, I'm hoping that Tabata follows through with the drama he's created, and that what we're doing here has serious consequences worthy of this epic setup. And what I will say is that I like that Yuno was able to resist the reincarnation right off the bat. I had a lot of fears of this like artificial Asta versus Yuno scenario, but I'm pretty thrilled that we don't look like we're heading in that direction. So good on you, Yuno. Your ears now match those of your wind spirit. But let's talk about Mereoleona Vermilion. Could she be the greatest character ever in Black Clover, if not the greatest? She's definitely a close second behind Yami, obviously, but every panel featuring her was an absolute treat. She is a true beast in all of the bestest possible ways. I mean, when you have a fire mage who can just burn water spells, then well, you're pretty glad that they're on your side. And as such, I'm also incredibly glad that we didn't have to sacrifice her, because it was looking like she was going to be visiting the Wizard King in the afterlife briefly, but no, this incredible beast will live to wreck another face. Also, Mereoleona was the gateway for introducing the concept of a mana zone, which was a fun explanation for her insane mana use and heightened natural instincts, which then got applied to a couple of other characters as well. I really enjoyed that expansion. There were also a couple of fantastic mirror pages of Cisco, Leon, and Nozel both invading the hideout, which made for a very hype beginning of the arc. Very cool artistic choice there. Although when it comes to art, I noticed that there were a lot of panels and sometimes flat out pages where Tabata chose, I think, to adopt a very sketchy aesthetic, and I'm not entirely sure why this is. At first I thought it might be the effect of a spell or just for some dramatic emphasis, but the panels that were affected were really inconsistent, almost arbitrary, and some of them were just very mundane shots. It's almost like Tabata didn't have the time to finish inking parts of these chapters and he had to prioritize which panels to finish, but even then that should be fixed for the volume release, so it has to be intentional, right? In any case, I don't quite get it, and if you have an explanation, then please do feel free to drop it in the comments section, which I just realized I can't read out of fear of spoilers. But you know what, do it anyway. Increase the engagement of the video. And something I haven't mentioned yet is that this part of the arc features a very fun conflict at the Black Bulls headquarters, and here we got to see our quiet trio in action being Ghosh, Gordon, and Gray, all of whom start with G. Just realized that. They did pretty phenomenally though, and it was particularly nice to learn a bit more about Gordon and his creepy magic, as well as his creepy dolls, which actually look ever so cool. They're not creepy at all, and I really desperately want one. The big revelation to occur here though is that we have a new, or I guess old but new to us, Black Bull member being Henry. Definitely was not quite expecting that, but it's a very solid concept. A poor bedridden magic knight using the mana of his comrades to sustain himself and ultimately unleash it in mecha-related warfare against a giant salamander. It's all just a very classic shonen plot point, isn't it? And speaking of old Black Bulls members, Zora, you sneaky little prick. I spent so much of my time in the last video explaining how good you'd be as a member of the squad and you were already in it. Why do you waste my time like this? I'm loving his continued involvement though. He represents one of the more interesting brands of magic use, and he's always fun to be around because he can do pretty much everything. By which I mean he can handle comedy, he's a funny dude, but he can also provide fantastic action, and then we can even go more introspective for some very potent drama as well. Add a slick and unique design on top of that, and that is a delicious recette for a truly captivating character. Keep it up, buddy. Alright, onwards to William now, and I don't want to say I called it because I didn't, but at the same time, I did? I think the words of the Wizard King sum up this situation best. So it was you, but at the same time, it wasn't you. And just F right off. I mean, I'll reserve full judgment until the end of the arc, but it feels a lot like Tabata just struggled to make an actual decision and found a weird, awkward way to have both scenarios play out. And now, as a result, we have this very bizarre fusion character. We have Licht, who is not Licht in the body of William, who is William, but is kind of irrelevant because he's basically declared himself a Sweden and is staying neutral in the conflict. This whole situation has become a little bit convoluted within this one body, and I'm not going to lie, I'm still not actually sure who is pretending to be Licht at this stage. I'm not even sure we're supposed to know because we do see the flashback from a first-person perspective, but then you know at the end of that chapter, Tabata reveals the face of like the true Licht, and I'm just like, cool, I still don't know who you are. But then again, I'm sure that this will become clear in time. As will the entire elf flashback, I imagine. I'm getting really intrigued by it actually, especially with the introduction of our human characters, particularly the one that seems to have Yuno's future grimoire. And just what the hell happened to cause something so apocalyptic? Because it looks like not even faked Licht knows exactly what went down that day. Also, easily my favorite elf and Midnight Sun guy thus far returns in Raya. Copy magic is absurd and always great to watch in action. Plus, he made for a great, juicy victim for Mereoleona. Although I think it does go to show that prior to this whole reincarnation thing, these Midnight Sun guys probably would have been scrubs compared to the full force of the Magic Knights. If they just gotten their shit together and attacked the base with a full complement of captains, rather than having some sort of crazy tournament run by a crazy king, we might be sitting in a very different place right now. One with perhaps a living wizard king. Back to Raya though, on the verge of losing, there was a cool moment where he initiated his self-destruct sequence and Asta was just like, nah, I've already seen 2 people try to blow themselves up, so I'll just be stopping this. It was a nice meta commentary on how these top tier villains seem to end in Black Clover, but also a great moment of growth for Asta. It shows that he is learning from his past fights like a chess player analyzing past games. An extremely loud, kind of annoying chess player, but still, I liked it. And in the end, we do have a very solid setup here and a barrage of events to digest, which once again is why I just had to stop and get all of this out before continuing. I also know that I've probably dwelled on negatives a lot in this review, but something that gives me a ton of hope is that the beginning of Black Clover arcs are always my least favorite parts. They tend to feel standard, tropey, and kind of uninteresting. However, there is always a point where Tabata flips a switch and turns them into something very compelling, unique, and well worthy of the setup. And I have no reason to believe that the Reincarnation arc won't follow that trend. It has already flipped several switches actually, which is why I'm very excited to see where this madness follows. But that pretty much does it for this blind review of this part of the Reincarnation arc. And what do you guys think? Please do leave your thoughts in the comments below or even join my Discord server. And if you're keen for some more Black Clover content, then please do go and check out some of my other videos or even subscribe to the channel for very maybe regular Black Clover goodness delivered straight into your YouTube feed. But for now, this has been the New World Review, and I'll see you next time.